Welcome back, ACC fans, to another episode of our Coach's Corner. We're back from break. I am joined by Georgia Tech assistant Josh Schulman. Josh, thank you so much for taking the time to join me after, we just saw each other this weekend.
I'm always fired up to get to spend time with you, Monty, and it's an honor to be here, man. I'm getting to spend time with a guy that is helping lead the charge of our league, getting the respect it does. So it's an honor to be here, man.
Absolutely. And, I want to talk a little bit about your coaching journey because you've got a pretty cool story and a lot of different experiences from, your time playing Division III to, you coached in the Ivy League, you've coached at Wofford and now at Georgia Tech. Talk to me and walk me through your entire journey and kind of your experience before we get into some deep diving questions.
Yeah, so it's been an interesting journey, and I am extremely grateful for how it's played out. Not because of the logo I'm wearing, not because of the field that we have right behind me, the sky, the back skyline. It's just such a blessing how all this lined up, and I could never have dreamed it to have played out this way. So from my end of it, I was a 78 to 80 lefty out of high school in College Station, Texas. Weirdly enough, Monty, A&M and Rice weren't signing that. I don't know why. It's crazy. Maybe I could have gotten to Omaha a few times, but my college career drifted towards looking at academic schools across the country that could potentially fit. That led to the University of Rochester, all the way in Rochester, New York. I was planning to go to law school, I think I've told you any of this, man, planning to be a Navy JAG, maybe work in national security. My junior year of college, in the span of a week, lost out on a scholarship that would pretty much set my career in national security, had my 5-year girlfriend leave me for another guy about a month where I was about to propose, and had a horrible outing, didn't make it, get one out, and gave up 7 runs and ruined a pretty good season. And in the span of all of that, somehow my conclusion was, you know what, man, I really want to coach. I don't know why, but I'm really drawn towards this. And when I graduated, my buddies all pretty much have jobs lined up, doing well, finance, using a private school education to get a good job. I'm sitting there working for nothing in the PGCBL for literally post-game hot dogs and pasta, just getting by and trying to navigate what's coming. Was fortunate enough to get an opportunity with Pomona Pitzer out in Los Angeles. Frank Pericolosi took a chance on a 22-year-old that had a lot of energy but did not know anything about baseball. Had a tremendous time out there and loved my experience, but an opportunity came up with Wofford having an opening with a pitching coach and a volunteer assistant where my head coach to this day is extremely close with Todd Arenado, recommended him to me to him during a head first academic camp we're all working. And of all the crazy divine intervention, providence, whatever it is, my mom and I were driving across the country, had my car break down in Bedford, Pennsylvania for 3 days. And during that time, Todd invited me down to come interview, and I was still on the East Coast. And from there, I was fortunate enough, joined staff with Todd, 2 years there, volunteer assistant, assisting with pitchers, getting to learn the base running system from Todd. Got hired by John Stuper and Tucker Frawley, the lead assistant at Yale. 3.5 years and only one season courtesy of COVID up there at Yale. Opportunity came up once again to rejoin staff at Wofford as a pitching coach. Could not pass it up. And then once again, after a few years, 3 years at Wofford, 3 seasons, opportunity came up here at Georgia Tech with a close relationship with James Ramsey that came from ABCA in 2019, of all places. That of all these little journeys, I know there's a lot of details we could get into, but along the way was just so blessed that from Coach Pericolosi out at Pomona, learning the art of recruiting nationally, getting with Todd and learning honestly how to coach. I didn't know anything before getting to work with Todd. Getting up with Coach Stuper, Coach Frawley up at Yale, and learning a little bit more of the data side, getting more into the analytic piece of it. And inside all these steps, the biggest blessing has been being with people that have given a lot of autonomy, but have been super invested of wanting to develop coaches. And it's everywhere along the way, Monty. It isn't just gassing up these stops. I just could not have been more blessed of all the little pieces that prepared me to come here and with Coach Ramsey and obviously with DH in his last season, hopefully playing a role to help elevate the program and continue to play the role I can to get us to the destination we want to go to.
Absolutely. I mean, how surreal must it be when you sit back and look back to 10 to 12 years ago when you're devastated as a junior, right? Is that what and in college it looks like everything is going to crap, and now look at you and it's obviously a completely different path than you envisioned. But I'm sure, I mean, you've recovered, you're married, you have a great job, you're in a great city. I mean, it's got to be pretty surreal.
There's a lot of times where it's been pinching myself, man. And it once again is not about the logo. It's not about the job. I have been so blessed to be with so many great people that have impacted my life. If there's the one thing that even when people, the last 4 years, I've been fortunate with no humble bragging here. I've been a part of 4 consecutive 41 seasons. I've had the chance to be part of a lot of really good teams. And the one thing that is the most important in this is that the wins don't matter. They do for our job security. They do for the outside expectations. But if you don't have internal joy, if you don't have happiness in what you're doing, none of the success matters. And the biggest blessing has been that I've done this with some of my closest friends, with Todd Renato, with JJ Edwards, with James Ramsey, Matt Taylor, all these guys along the last 4 years, getting to see DH out in his last year. Those are the memories, doing it with the right people, that have made every bit of this journey so worth it.
And that's also one of the things I love about covering the college game. Some people have asked me, like, am I just doing this until I can get like a job covering MLB? And I tell them, I don't know if that, obviously that's, the money might be there, but like it's covering the college game. You've still got they're students. They're still technically amateurs, whether they're getting NIL or not. They're amateurs. I don't care if they're getting paid or not. And that you're still developing human beings and people for the real life. I mean, looking at you again, you're somebody who your coach was not developing to be a pro athlete, and that's still the case, and a lot of times what I love about ACC coaches in particular, and there's coaches all over the country like this, but they focus on the individual and the results kind of come from that. And that's one of the beauties, I think, of the college game is you're still really able to focus on developing a human being. And it's about the people and the wins can kind of, they're still really important in terms of, like you said, job security, but at the same time, it's about developing young men.
No question. And the thing that I think gets lost at times with the bright lights, with the success, the outside, the perception of things, the clout, is these are 18 to 22-year-olds that don't know who they are yet. They're navigating the highest of highs, the lowest of lows. This is such a valuable growth period in their lives. And for our players, like, yes, there is the Georgia Tech degree, but they're all in this for the baseball end goal. And as cool as it seems to get drafted, if you're not ready to handle the off the field side of it, the mental side of it, if we're not equipping our players to navigate how difficult of a road pro ball is, shame on us. If we're also not investing in their lives to hopefully make them better men, to have them prepared for marriage, to have them prepared for the real world, like, that's such a wasted opportunity. Because once again, there's not enough success we can have right back here, right now, to make up for guys that do not know where they're going in life, that are frustrated with this because they never felt like we cared about them. That's the greatest joy of this, man, is you get to the destination with the right people and you get to see their lives take off once they're done here, whether it is in pro ball or whether it's doing something else.
Absolutely. And some of my favorite stories are from the guys that may not necessarily be pro ball guys. John Giesler. Watching the Goose, getting to see him in the fall in a suit because he's joined the real workforce, working with Danny Hall of all things in the same company, from what I understand. But those kind of stories that, the guy at North Carolina who's studying to be a doctor, Ben King, who's an alum who is in medical school, Carson Ballard, who might have a pro career because he does have some great stuff, but he's going to have a biochemical engineering degree behind him if, to go wherever he wants to go. Those are the stories I really love because it's just so cool to me that these guys are handling a workload. And it's one of the reasons I love the ACC in particular, because all of these are really strong academic schools. Stanford, Notre Dame, Virginia, Duke, Georgia Tech, they're all serious academic schools, and it's part of what makes college baseball great. But shifting a little bit to back to you, you're a bit of a Swiss Army knife. Given that you've got a pitching background and you were a pitching coach at Wofford, people would think you're the pitching coach, but you're not. You're going to be kind of helping all over the place, I'm sure, but like your specialty seems to be the base running and, seeing some of that. And, talk to me a little bit about what your job is at Georgia Tech kind of entails.
Yeah, so the easiest way to describe this is that I get the joint job of being team mom as the youngest assistant on staff, while also getting to be Coach Ramsey's, James Ramsey's work wife, of doing everything tandem with him on the position player side and run production. So the exact nuts and bolts is that I coach our infielders, I coach our base runners. I coach first base during the games. And Coach Ramsey and I, our job together here is how can we produce as many runs as possible for 56 plus games a year? And that will overlap into some of the hitting side. James Ramsey is an incredible hitting coach, one of the best in baseball. That is his baby. But between me, Scott Strickland, former head coach at Georgia, and our catching coach, as well as Ramsey, we all have this together of how can we create the most fundamental and explosive offense and the most fundamental and high-level defense all together. So in my background, I've been fortunate to coach catchers, now infielders, pitchers, and I am a little bit of a mutt in delving into everything. I do think the value that I've really enjoyed it, because I've had people ask me if I want to get back on the pitching side, kind of what the path is number one, if you coach with the right people, the roles take care of themselves.
Yeah.
And if we can't grow enough as coaches to learn how to do different things, once again, shame on us, man. If we're not trying to continually refine our craft, shame on us. And the second side of it, though, is you're trying to produce value in whatever way you can. If me going to fill the water coolers up for Georgia Tech makes us a better program, that's my job to do. If me doing this together, like whatever it is at Ramsey, that makes the boat go faster and gets us to our destination, then whatever it takes, we need to do what it takes to get the job done as assistant coaches.
Yeah, one of the things I've been lucky enough to do is you guys have given me the access to kind of see how you guys interact together, and you seem like a very collaborative staff. Obviously, Matt Taylor has to be collaborative with his director of pitching, but it seems like everybody is working together regardless of their roles and trying to figure out the best ways to just win ball games.
No question. It's the iron sharpens iron side. And you can have that when you're playing really good players in inter squads. Hey, our pitchers got better this fall because they faced a pretty good offense day in and day out. And it forced them to figure out how to navigate getting pretty good hitters out. But as a coaching staff side, MT has a ton of background as a former pitching coordinator with the Braves. He is a brilliant pitching mind. The results from last year speak for themselves. It forces us as an offense to have to evolve and adapt because he is going to be ruthless and fearless in attacking hitters and inter squads. He's also a savant with data, with true media that helps us as an offensive staff, position player staff, have to adapt. From our end on the base running side, hey, our pitchers have to figure out how to control the running game or inter squads turn into a track meet if anybody reaches base. So there's a little bit of not just the competition side of do the pitchers beat the hitters or vice versa. It is all about can we build the best team for the spring. So for 60 games, 60 plus games, it is one united front on we know how to coach ourselves. We know how to clean things up. We can reach across the aisles, a phrase that Ramsey and MT use a ton, that if there's deficiencies like last year, I'm going to give MT a ton of credit. We were struggling after we had an injury to Kyle Lodis. He came back, but our offense, to be blunt, Monty, sucked for about 2 weeks. We were bad. We did not know how to produce runs, went down to Miami, got swept, lost a series here at home to Virginia, and scoring felt so distant. MT came in and made one change, made one suggestion. You need to lead off Burris. We fought it for a week when we played Western Carolina here, but the moment we started Burris, I think to close out the year, we scored in the first inning in 11 consecutive games. In the last 5 games of the year, had multi-run innings to start the game. And MT bringing that up, as fearless as it is, changed our season down the stretch.
Yeah, and it's brutal because Lodis was able to come back somewhat quickly, but that oblique injury, it sucks that power, and that's, that made it so difficult. But watching that down stretch and seeing that, it's so great. It's funny you mentioned that because you just mentioned that the offense was struggling, and you had to have Kent Schmidt come back as early as possible on one leg and save the series against Virginia with a walk-off. So
It's funny because in going back into the caring for the kid, like obviously when we get between the lines, we care about our players, but there is that mono v mono side of you're going at each other. It is a competition. Mm-hmm. Kent has a freak injury of all things, goes down for an extended period of time. You're still having to care about the kid and invest into him. Yes, he needs to prepare. Yes, he needs to still stay ready, but there's a lot of that TLC side that you can't prepare for. There's the other end of it that with Lodis going through the injury and him having these massive draft expectations after being one of the best players in college baseball for 8 weeks, that you're having to navigate managing the player. And there is some of that X's and O's sides of all of a sudden one change can open things up. But the thing that honestly is with the most revealing to me this past year, my first year in the ACC, is you really need to care about the kids. Because if things start getting too chaotic with the roller coasters of highs and the lows, you may lose sight of your wins and losses, and things may get pretty messy down the stretch. But all it takes is a little momentum and a little bit of luck at times of Ken Schmidt coming back at the right moment. And Ken Schmidt having two of the biggest moments of our season, man. The walk-off home run against UVA on 1 foot, and him tagging from second base.
Yeah, that's right.
From second base in the first inning against Louisville to score the second run for us to win 2-1 in a game that helped us win the ACC title.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for reminding me that one. I need to remember to put that on my moments list because that was I remember the social media account used the Chandler Simpson. He's faster than Chandler Simpson. But yeah, no, and it was so funny with Kent because you could tell how much it was killing him not to be with the team when you guys were traveling to Notre Dame and Stanford because he jumped on Twitter and which was great entertainment for me. But you could tell like he had major FOMO because he couldn't be with the boys. But let's talk a little bit about your days under Todd Interdonato, talking about Coach Interdonato because he's now at BC, but you coached the likes of Matthew Marshall and Lucas Malstead, and Gunnar Johnson is still at BC. Trey Younger, who finished his career at Georgia Tech, is now on the staff with you. Just talk to me about Todd Interdonato's system because Todd Interdonato has a very unique system that you obviously learned under, especially with the base running caliber, and I think this is his third year at BC, but it seems like he's really started to get some of the players that fit his system.
No question. And the thing I'm going to preface here is I'm going to say a lot of extremely positive things about Todd because I think the world of him. And I am part of the Wofford cult. We joke that we're a cult because that's just the coaching tree that Todd has. What happened at Wofford College was a truly special thing that all came down to Todd being the CEO of an incredible turnaround. Wofford, when he took over, was a bottom 50 program in the country and never seriously contended in a really good SoCon back in the day. While there was still College of Charleston, Elon, Georgia Southern, it was a really good league, and Wofford was perennially at the bottom 2 to 3. What changed with Wofford was out of necessity. Wofford could not out-recruit people. It's a school of 1,900 kids in Spartanburg, South Carolina. It is not the sexiest option, albeit a great degree. Todd had to build a system at Wofford that allowed him to get a competitive advantage over a league where he was not going to be able to out-talent people. Over the course of 9 seasons, 10 seasons, we'll say starting in 2013, 2014, Todd wanted to build an offense that was going to be really difficult to defend with bunts and stolen bases to take pressure off hitters who may not have the best bat speed, who may not be the best bat to ball guys, but still find ways to produce runs. This also took a turn because the offenses started getting good. 2015 had a really good season, won 39 games. The turn came with Seth Volz, the now pitching coach at Notre Dame, where Wofford then added a brand of pitching that was all about command, all about controlling the zone, and really forcing offenses to deal with different looks, side armors, heavy off-speed guys, and kind of being ahead of the curve of some pitching styles that have become super off-speed oriented. All these pieces along the way led to better players, more success, more winning, and came to this mountaintop from 21 to 24 with 2 regular season titles, 3 consecutive SoCon title game appearances, and finally breaking through in 24, albeit with Todd in Chestnut Hill at that point. But along the way, the thing that became, and where people lose sight of the Wofford way with Todd, is there were really good offenses, man. They scored a ton of runs. There were really good players that put up insane numbers, and it wasn't just bunting and running. And some of the misnomer that Todd gets is that they're not trying to bunt their way to scoring 10 runs a game. It's being brutal to deal with because you have to pick the poison between the guy in the box or the guy in the bases. And the thing that I have the utmost confidence with Todd Interdonato, and I'm biased because he means the world to me, he means the world of my career. He is a brilliant baseball mind that is going to solve problems. He is just a problem solver that gets guys to buy in, and the running through the wall mentality that Todd gets from the coaches to the players. When you're between the lines, do anything to win a game for that guy.
Absolutely. I mean, and I think it's kind of, it shows how special Todd is that he was able to get so many guys to stay at BC when he got the job there. Because this day and age, when that transfer happens, they're not committed to this coach, and it shows how much they love BC and how much they love, they trusted Todd. But it's interesting. You guys are going to play Boston College to end the year. It's going to be exciting up there. One of the things I love about watching BC is when they get the other team to play ugly and play down to their level, that's when it gets tough. And that's when it's actually really fun for me to watch. As ugly as it is baseball wise, I just think it's a wonderful thing, and I love the walk-off sack bunt. I think they had 2 of those last year, but it's a bit of a different offensive profile going from where you were at Wofford, what Todd Arenado kind of runs, to Georgia Tech. Now, you guys did steal some bases, but it's a very different offensive profile on how you guys are going to win games. Talk to me about that difference and adjustment as you made the jump from Wofford to Georgia Tech.
No doubt. And this is where I have not been seeking to job hop. I have not. My wife will kill me if I move anytime soon. We're finally settled in Atlanta, and I don't think any jury would convict her on it either.
Yeah.
But you have to be adaptable to what the place you're at is wanting to do. And every place is going to have maybe a little bit of a different blueprint to winning. That may be who you can recruit. That might be academic profile. That might be how much JUCO older players versus having to play high school players. That might be park dimensions. All these things kind of line up to having an identity that might best fit what you can do at that place. That can obviously change. It is not just a very stuck thing. But coming here to Georgia Tech, the one thing I knew with Ramsey and him and I's friendship, our friendship goes back a long way, man. And I've known plenty about Georgia Tech for years. What I expected showing up here was obviously a hitting focused offense that wants to smash baseballs, that wants to have guys that can obviously open up the game with one swing of the bat. You look at the Burrises of the world, but there's guys for years since Ramsey's been here that the slug is there. What I think sometimes gets lost with the Georgia Tech offense is that it's adaptable to the personnel year by year. The 2014 did not, besides Burris, have a lot of boppers. Ellis, Burris, and you had Trey Younger at 5'7" holding it down to the leadoff spot, right? And that's why
Cam Jones stealing bases as well as a two-way guy. I mean, that 2024 team barely makes the NCAA tournament, but they were a lot of fun to watch.
No doubt. And at any point, they were the comeback kids. Any point they're down, they were going to find a way to stick bats in a row. But coming into this program, the thing you want to do as an assistant is you want to graft onto the main tree. The trunk is there. And unless you're coming in with a brand new coaching staff, you need to find a way to bring value inside what's happening. And what Ramsey and I have tried to build together is how can we make our offense more explosive, including the running game and accentuating some guys like Burris, like Lackey, like Kyle Lodies that have speed, but don't get away from the fact that we want to smash baseballs.
Yeah.
So the middle ground we have here is, and there's not really need to be, like Ramsey and I will have tons of fun debates going at it in our weight room while we're lifting in the morning. It's a great time for professional development. The thing we are on the common ground with is we want to score 8+ runs a game. There are not many teams in college baseball and very few in Power 4 that average over 8. Mm-hmm. The big number is 8.5. You get to that, man, that is the elite of the elite offense. Yeah. You want to have an offense that can win any type of game, though. You do want to have a game where, hey, the wind is blowing out at Rusty C here. You got to get the ball in the air. Hey, you're at Virginia Tech on a Friday and they're giving you some opportunities to run with times at the plate. You've got to take care of those windows. So we just want a versatile offense that can do a little bit of everything, but what the game provides, we want to take advantage of. So we really value creating 90s in whatever way they come up. If that means that, hey, man, we're slugging it around the yard and we don't need to risk a stolen base, so be it. But we want opposing teams to come in and have to account for having some studs who can really slug, having OBP guys who are going to grind at bats. Our offense overall is not chasing. And a running game that's going to make everybody from the outfielders to the catchers, everybody's on edge, that we are going to take any 90 you afford us that comes up during 9 innings.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people forgot that you guys did run a bunch last year. I mean, Vaughn Lackey, did he have 19 stolen bases? He had a good amount. I mean, Parker Brocious was perfect for a long time in his career. And then, you had a handful of guys just getting stolen bases here and there. But, I did want to ask you about something, and I didn't notice it live. When I was there in the fall against UAB, Alex Hernandez had a monster performance. I think he had 3 exit velocities over 100 miles an hour. I interviewed him afterwards. For whatever reason, I wasn't really paying attention to his answers. So when I went back to do the video to post it, he said something about, I'm just going out there trying to be a positive penguin. Thanks. He said, thanks, Schul. And I realized I didn't follow up on it because I didn't hear it. What's that about? Is that a little phrase to, that with the guys? What's the background there?
So the art of coaching is every player needs a little bit of a different thing, right? I can tell you that a lot of the playbook was used on Kyle Lodi's last year, trying to figure out with his everything he is as a person, as a player, getting him the right direction at times when things weren't great. Alex Hernandez is somebody that plays really hard, but also plays with frustration at times. And just as a freshman, there's going to be ups and downs. So Alex had some stretches where he was incredible. There are some stretches where he was playing a little frustrated. Out of nowhere, with one conversation with my wife, the phrase positive penguin came up out of nowhere, of talking about, hey, you got to stop being so negative. Let's be a positive. And the alliteration was just penguin. It's the only animal with a P, right? Like platypus is kind of weird. So to make this even better, our pregame circle out, if there's one thing that for anybody watching you need to know, Georgia Tech is going to be a very authentic program. Who you see on the outside is what's happening on the inside. We love having a good time. We love chirping. In BP earlier, I asked Nathaniel Coupe, one of our players, hey, man, my Jeep is parked over in the middle bay. How many balls are you going to hit off of it? And we're all having a good time laughing with it. Like, that's just who we are. So in our pregame circles last year, we would always chirp Alex Hernandez. Chirping is a pastime of our program. I would always ask if our guys thought if Alex was going to play hard today, and all our guys would say, absolutely not, no shot. We're playing Georgia Southern here in mid-May, and I went, you know what, Alex? You know what I think I'm going to do this year? I think you're going to do today? I think you're going to be a positive penguin out there, man. You're not going to let any mishit ball, any ground out get in your way. You're just going to be a positive penguin. Even better, on Amazon, they sell 2-inch little positive penguins. Alex Hernandez has it in his locker, and whenever the rage monster starts to get in a little bit, man, you just go over there, hey, man, just got to be a positive penguin.
Love that. And he's the one that revealed that to me. So now it's on him for me using that moving forward. And I will, because you saw what happened with the hot dog bat with Ken Schmidt last year and all that. So that's on Alex for revealing that to me just offhandedly in an interview, and me following up on it finally. But yeah, I love that, because I heard that and I was like, oh, I got to follow up on that. What did he just say? Let's talk expectations. D1, we're recording this the day that D1 released you guys at number 5. It's about 4 days after you guys were number 2 at Perfect Game. Talk to me about those expectations, because obviously you guys have wanted this kind of national respect, but at the same time, you don't want to get too high off the smell of your own farts, basically, right? Like,
no doubt. So this has been building up for a while, and this has been building up for a while. The number one thing with that is this has been something that, once the 2023 class got on campus, there has been a vision of this year coming up has a chance of being really special. Everybody here loves the fact that this praise is coming. At the same point, too, to put this bluntly, that there were a lot of commentators, there are a lot of pundits that did not think Georgia Tech deserved to host last year. There are a lot of people, if we have to remind people, that Georgia Tech wasn't ranked in the week they won the ACC championship regular season. There has been a lot of people that you manage both ends, and people that have doubted what has been happening here the last year, and now people that want to praise it. So that is no shot. Once again, they're allowed to have opinions. Our job as coaches and players is to handle what happens between the lines, and what happens outside of it, that's not under our control. The thing with this year is, yes, there's a lot of expectations. We have not been ducking them in what we talk about inside the program. Where we feel like, though, there is a difference is that it isn't wanting the smoke. It isn't wanting the flash. It's that we trust that we do have the right players with talent in that clubhouse down there. We have the right pitchers on this pitching staff to carry the workload to do special things. But we are radically focused on playing good baseball with really good players. All that matters come February 13th is nothing about the rankings, whatever people say. It's come first pitch against Bowling Green. Can we play Georgia Tech baseball for 9 innings? And as coach talk as that sounds, we are staying radically focused on, we have expectations to go to Omaha this year. Of course, when you have this much talent, you should have sky-high expectations. But it's only as good as the baseball we play day in and day out. If we win 25 out of 30 ACC games, an incredible season, and they're 25 ugly, ridiculously bad wins, they still probably going to call you ACC champs, and you're still probably going to host. If you have the best brand of baseball and play beautiful and lose 18, 19 games in the league, it don't matter how good you play. You lost 19 games. So I think that focus for us still stays on, we need a winning brand day in and day out. And that focus keeps us honestly a little loose, because our identity is being a loose team. Like the smoke, all this stuff, you couldn't tell with our guys out here because we're just wanting to have a good time hanging out with each other. So it is maintaining, I know I'm going on different tangents here.
No worries.
We want this because we have built up a while for this, and a lot of effort, a lot of recruiting effort out of James Ramsey and Matt Taylor, on top of the players wanting to have this type of platform, but also knowing that we're not changing who we are because of it. We're going to be loose. We're going to play free, and we're going to play our brand of baseball to the day we finish our season, whenever that is.
Absolutely. And one of the things I love about, and you don't normally, I feel like, see this as much in college baseball, but I don't think there's a team out there that embodies the identity of their star like Georgia Tech does with Drew Burress, who has always played with a chip on his shoulder, handles high expectations, is cool as a cucumber. Now, he's a little bit more, I feel like, business-like in pregame than I think, most of the team's a little bit looser than he is. But for the most part, it feels like Georgia Tech really embodies the identity of Drew Burress over the last couple of years, which I think is so cool because he's such a special talent and he's such a natural, baseball leader, where a lot of it's done by just being who he is and just leading by example. And how special is Drew Burress among, the dozens and hundreds of players you've coached?
Drew Burress, take the talent, take the success out of it, right? He is a generational player based on his performance. And no matter what people want to say about his height, no matter what people want to do to doubt him because he isn't 6 foot or 6'2", he is a special player that will be remembered for a long time for what he's done. Sure. Drew Burress is a Mount Rushmore player in my coaching career because he is such an incredible kid. For all the reasons somebody like him could have a massive ego, could be a bad teammate, could be selfish, could be focused on everything about his clout. He lives and breathes Georgia Tech baseball. He lives and breathes this program, and he is the most uplifting guy to our players, that it's all about the us. So yeah, man, there's a lot of things that after this season, if he has a good year, that will take care of themselves. Everybody can look at the projections, all of that. Drew Burress is a separator because he lives and breathes and bleeds Georgia Tech. And he's a guy that you would do anything for as a coach, because from the moment I had my first conversation with him, and keep in mind, I'm coming from coaching mid-major players, very good ones, but it's a little bit different than a guy who's coming off being the National Freshman of the Year. But right from the first phone call I had with him to everything to this day, he is incredibly coachable. He's seeking to get better in any way he can. And he also wants to bring everybody along for the ride with him, not just make this about the Drew Burress show.
Absolutely. And what impresses me about him is the intangibles. That's why I'm so confident he's going to succeed no matter what his height is. Also, when I see him hit, I forget he's 5'8", 5'9", whatever he is, until I'm down there next to him. And then I realize, oh yeah, but he hits like he's 6 foot, 6'1". And he just loves, he's born to be a baseball player. I think last year when I interviewed him in the offseason last year, I was asking questions like, what's your ideal career outside of baseball? And I said, you know what? We're going to throw this one out for you. I know that's a tough question for me to be asking any of these baseball players because most of them are still envisioning a pro career. But for him, I mean, even if his dad is a big time, high school travel coach. So, it's in his blood, it's in his family. So it's interesting. But I love this lineup. Everyone's talking about the offense, and we're going to talk about it a little bit. I've always been a big Ryan Zuckerman fan. I was so glad that he's staying in the ACC, and he, speaking of loose, and this isn't to take any shots at Pitt, but he looks like he's having the time of his life, and he's really worked on some of the swing and miss, and he's hitting 7th, I think, in the fall of what I saw, but he's a guy who had 30 extra base hits in the ACC last year.
it's been such a blessing to add Zuck to this program. And he is talented. It's a great thing to add talented players. Our job relies on having talented players that can play the game well. It's that simple, right? But the thing that sometimes gets lost in the portal era of trying to build these superstar teams per year, and I know at some point we may get over to Jaron as well, but you want to add the right people culturally. We have a very unique culture at Georgia Tech that is a family environment. It is very much like we have a ton of high school players that have been here for multiple years. It's a protective culture, and we're really careful about who we bring in. What Zuck has been such a blessing with is he's made it even better. He is such an uplifting guy. He is so energetic, loves coming to the yard. Heck, he walked in today, and he's yelling in the tunnel at 9 a.m. as soon as he sees us, just fired up about the first day of practice. And he has done a great job of just embracing the coaching side of it. The dilemma you may have at times with some of these kids coming in from other programs is how willing are they to be coached? How willing are they to be vulnerable? And honestly, like, how good do they want to be? Some people are just want to be good enough. And it sounds like a crazy concept, but some people truly don't want to be great because they don't want to get out of their comfort zone. They don't want to fail. Zuck has leaned into wanting to be great. And there's days of practice that, yeah, man, he has a tough day. He gets challenged. He gets cooked a little bit in the cages. It's difficult with fielding, but he's leaned so much into the challenges that his growth has been exponential from this fall alone that we're just excited to see what he can do in the spring because he's been such a special player and leader from the moment he showed up.
Yeah, and a lot of the spotlight has been on Jaron for obvious reasons because Jaron's, is an unbelievable baseball player, unbelievable hitter, and has been. But it's shocking to me how under the radar I feel like Zuck has gone, considering it's not easy to have 30 extra base hits in the Power Four, and I think he has a major league physique. Like, he looks like a major league third baseman already. And if he's able to control that strike zone a little bit more and draw walks, which he did in the fall, he's pushing himself into a very, very high draft pick as opposed to what he's kind of starting out as in terms of that, because it's really good for him, but it looks like he's having a lot of fun, and he's been fun to interact with. Kent Schmidt and him seem like perfect partners across the diamond. I think I was making fun of saying, "Oh wow, you already replaced Lodi with Zuck, huh?" You guys spend the summer together and you just forget about Kyle Lodis, huh? So, but Kent coming back, I think people are sleeping on Kent Schmidt, who put up full season numbers after missing 20 games and is a game changer at first base. I think he's a borderline All-American at first base, probably is an All-American if he gets all those games. And you just up and down the lineup, you have 14 guys if you include somebody like Tyler Nisis, who is an underrated left-handed power option who didn't get to swing a ton in the fall. How you've got depth. How are you going to get all these guys in?
Well, the one thing that always rears its ugly head in college baseball is the depth question, because at some point, weird injuries, sickness happens. We had Caleb Daniel last year, who had an incredible preseason as a freshman, have to miss the first 5-6 games because of an illness, like things you just can't plan for, right? And I think a lesson that we learned from last year is not just trying to hoard, like, hey, we're going to have 15 guys, maybe lead somebody on in recruiting that, hey, you can play. Just kidding. You're going to do stuff down the lineup or in the depth chart. But you do need 12, 13, 14 solid hitters because you never know when the need comes up. We had a situation at Miami this year where all of a sudden Carson Curse is out for a game. Alex Hernandez is out for a game. And our lineup and our positioning, more importantly, took a really ugly turn for a few games. And those things line up to where you do need super versatile players. And guys like Will Baker that have shown the ability throughout this fall to play a good infield, but go to the outfield. Hernandez being able to move all around the field. Cade Brown, somebody who transferred in from Georgia, the ability to play a first base, a corner infield, but play the outfield as well. And Tyler Nisis, a guy, Parker Brocious, who we barely mentioned. All these guys just help not only raise the floor of what we can do day in and day out to challenge our players, because you're facing good competition internally, but you never know when the need comes up where one freak play, one illness, one something, and you need that guy to step up and play a massive role.
Absolutely. And it's great you mentioned that because, last year, Goose wasn't really healthy at all the whole year. He was somebody who you were hoping would start the season and then didn't get until, the first ACC series. We talked about Lodis and his. We talked about, Kent Schmidt's injury, and you're right, it's going to take a lot. You had Connor Schaus, who had to play a ton last year, and ultimately with what you guys had coming back, he's draft eligible, had to kind of make a different move elsewhere. But like, you could have had 15, 16, ACC starting caliber guys. It's a credit to what you guys have built there and the recruiting process. But the pitching narrative, I hate the pitching narrative because yes, the pitching does need to work with that offense, but it implies that the pitching is bad when they bring up Georgia Tech needs pitching, and that's not necessarily true. What Matt's done over the last 3 years is impressive, but how excited are you about this pitching staff? Because guys like Adam McKelvey, Jake Lanke, Jackson Blakely, Colin Gaudet, some of these guys that are not known have come back and look fantastic, in addition to, the guys that are already there, including Tate McKee, who I hope Matt is enjoying his final year with Tate, because I don't know what Matt's going to do with Tate when Tate moves on, but the big brother, little brother relationship there. But yeah, I mean, how excited are you about this pitching staff? Because it is also deeper than I think it's been in quite some time.
No doubt. Well, we'll have a retired Tate McKee jersey sitting above Matt's office over here in the dojo at our facility. So we'll have that taken care of after the season. But, Georgia Tech fans have unfortunately been through a little bit of battered things in a lot of sports. Football's had a lot of ups and downs. We have the start that we have this year, and then things fall apart down the stretch, and it just feeds into some past battered feelings of how things have played out. There has been a recent history at times of the Georgia Tech pitching staff holding back some offensive production in recent history. It comes with Georgia Tech fans. They're gun shy. We get it. What people have lost sight of is last year, the Matt Taylor-led pitching staff was third in the ACC in ERA and had the best season in this BB Core era since 2014. We're talking about an incredible year. Matt Taylor with Jason Richmond took two guys in Brady Jones and Jalen Payton, transfers from who've had careers that were not very exciting before it, and turned them into professional baseball players with incredible seasons, and turned Mason Patel, who did not have a great 24 season, into an All-American. There is a track record shown right here. It isn't just hype. It is shown in front of us that Matt Taylor and Jason Richmond are developing arms and putting them in positions to be very successful in the ACC. So as we look at this year, and there's obviously some question marks of replacing Brady Jones and Payton. That always happens when you have to lose those pieces. There is a lot of talent and a lot of experience still returning on this pitching staff that we're just excited to see how it plays out. And the question we've gotten plenty is, who's going to start besides Tate? We're still navigating that.
So many options. So that's the problem. You've got a bunch of options. So it's not a shortage. It's and you don't have to make it. And the great thing about it, you don't have to make a decision now.
No doubt. We don't play opening day until a month from now, right? And to be an Omaha caliber team, to be a super regional caliber team, and we can even go over to Louisville's team last year, right? Louisville had a really deep pitching staff. You obviously had a horse in Patrick Forbes, but there were a lot of pieces, both with starters and relievers, that they were difficult to deal with for 27 innings at a time, 9 innings at a time. You need a certain amount of depth to be able to make it through the ACC, make it through a regional, and then obviously, have 2 good days in a super to get to Omaha. And the thing that we're excited about is, there may not be the set titles right now and some of those guys returning that you're penciling in there, but there's a lot of the pieces that look the way they need to in order for us to have the depth to be ultra successful in the postseason.
Absolutely. And I'm super excited about what we've got in front of us. It's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, I could go through all the names. I did it with Matt Taylor. So if you want to see a pitching episode, go back to Matt Taylor, because we went through the entire pitching staff. But that's going to do it for me. Shul, I ended up taking you almost 45 minutes here. I tried to get it to 30, but we were just so much to talk about, so much fun. I really appreciate you taking the time, because I know you've had a long day after a long weekend. So really appreciate you taking the time to knock this out.
You got it, Monty. And look, we can't say thank you enough for your love for this league. This is a special league. And obviously our job is to represent Georgia Tech and care about this program. There are so many good players in this league. We were talking about it this weekend. There's so many programs that are worth a ton of respect. great coaches, great coaching staffs. This is a great league to be a part of. And for having people like you that truly do have a heart for this and are not caught up in narratives of looking maybe at one other league, no names thrown around here, but care about a lot of special stories in this, you are doing such a huge favor, and obviously such a great, just caring focus on a lot of really talented players that will have great careers, great coaches, all of it. So from us as an ACC program to you, man, we can't say thank you enough for caring about this, because you are doing something special too.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. It means a lot, because it's just, it's just fun to be able to share this kind of passion and be able to interact and talk ball with you guys. That was what's so fun about, talking ball this weekend and going to the ABCA and everything. So really appreciate it. We'll be back with our final episode of the Coach's Corner next week. But until then, go Jackets.
Go Jackets, baby.